Hi, this is Sean, Bigman Tactical here at SHOT Show 2024. In an industry that most people wrongly believe is dominated by men, I have a guest here that can tell you otherwise and tell you how you can find help.
Yep, what's up, everybody? I'm Chantel, owner and chief instructor of Women Who Carry. I'm actually a concealed carry and a basic pistol instructor here in the state of Nevada, for Utah, and actually Colorado as well.
So in your business, do you find a lot of discomfort when women are trying to get new into shooting?
Very much so. I've had plenty of women call me just because my title says women, and that was the grabber. And a lot of them want their husbands to come in, but mostly because of like, oh, I'm intimidated. I don't want to go into a gun range. There's 6'2" guys with like long beards, no insult. Yeah, and so they're very intimidated. And so that because it says women, they're super comfortable with, us building that rapport in the classroom. And then what we do is we actually go over and drive over to the range after we've built that, 6-hour classroom portion. So
Okay.
yeah, make them feel a lot more comfortable.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of get them used to being around people that they're more comfortable with. That way, when you kind of get into that awkward situation, there's someone to fall back on.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. So beyond CCW, is there any other kind of training that you guys like to do?
Women's self-defense, situational awareness. A little bit of background for me. I'm actually a 12-time world champion in Taekwondo, and so I've kind of stepped away from that. I've been retired for the last 4 years, but people have since then asked me to teach that part of it. So I'm considering building the curriculum actually for starting this year. And so maybe we could get back into like a little bit of knife defense and stuff like that, just for different situations, not just solely for firearms.
Okay. Yeah, bring an all-around program. So that sounds like a pretty good idea. So when you come up to with a new shooter, what tends to be the hardest misinformation that you run into?
You need a revolver. My husband told me to buy this. My husband told me to buy that. I shot my husband's 45 and I hate it. Taking me into a gun range and the bang is very intimidating, which it's very nerve-wracking. I remember my first time. And so in my classes, I actually like to be, because you got to be relatable, right? And so I actually like to tell my stories because I am finding through me teaching, other people, other women, that we actually have similar stories. Which is nice because I thought, for the love of God, I was the only one. I'm like, I can't be the only one that's just feeling like this. And, personalities can be egotistical, super dry. And I'm just like, I didn't learn this. So I took the curriculum that I learned in my instructorship, and I break it all down from beginning to finish. I don't care if you're a experienced shooter, a beginner shooter, anything. I literally go from ground zero just for a refresher.
Okay.
And if they don't like it, they don't have to deal with it. But that's what I teach in my classes. I think it's important. I feel like I didn't get a whole lot in my classes, which I think I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. And it gets long and tedious, but I think it's important.
And that's one of the things that I strongly believe in too. Like you can have an instructor you go through and you learn that one way. But I'm a big believer of going in, getting multiple points of view on the same fundamental.
Absolutely.
And then fine tuning that to work for yourself.
Yep.
So it's kind of good to see instructors that have that same kind of mindset.
Absolutely.
And then the revolver thing, it was funny because we were having a conversation before.
Man, love that conversation.
But no, it's the same thing. Every new person that I've taught to shoot was, okay, if you're scared of the guns, let's try 22 first. So, okay, kind of get used to it. It's not as bad as you thought. And then we can bump up a little bit and slowly progress instead of, oh no, you'll be fine. Run this 500 Magnum.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. I would not be here. Like, and I've learned that. So I learned to start the women on the 22s and then progress once they're comfortable. I didn't know that to begin with. I started on a G42, which is a 380 Glock 42. And so when I first went to go purchase my first handgun, my very first one, as a joke, but I didn't know he was joking, he put a big ass gun in my hand. It was a 45. And then when I learned what that sounded like, what that felt like, I said, hell no, I need a smaller gun. And then I learned that's not so much the case, right? I actually carry a Smith & Wesson Performance Center myself.
Okay.
The Easy,
Yeah.
It's my favorite. And so I've learned that because like the dexterity in the hands. So after I shot the Smith & Wesson, going back to the Glock side by side, I was like, oh, it's kind of hard to rack. So I prefer Smith & Wesson, but I do have a Taurus TX22 that I recently bought for training specifically, and the women love it. They're like, I like that one. It's so light, it doesn't feel so heavy. It's not a big bang.
And then it's nice because the feel transfers over to
yes.
firearms pretty easily.
Yeah.
one thing that I've kind of thought, we've talked about it a little bit already, but coming from a women's perspective, ease of training. So if you didn't know, in my opinion, women have always been easier to train than men. Men come with a significant ego attached to trying to teach them something new. Whereas in my experience, women have been a little more analytical and problem solving. So they tend to listen and then actually do what you suggest that's going to be helpful.
Yep.
That's something that you've noticed.
It is, especially when they're away from like their significant other and they're just like a group full of like strange women who they've never met before, but they're more comfortable being around other women. They're like, oh, then we can actually kind of learn like what maybe the proper thing is versus like somebody who told you something different.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now your program, is it women only or?
No. So it's women focused and it's LGBT focused, but men are also included. I've had a lot of women ask, hey, can my brother come? Can my boyfriend, husband's fiance, whoever. So I've trained both men and women.
Okay. And then it's been a comfortable atmosphere all the way through.
Very much so.
That's awesome.
The men have been very, very supportive of both my teachings, even if they're like, I want my wife, but she wants me to go with her. So, okay, great. Bring her to me. I'll train both of you. So.
Okay. Do you have a website that someone can go on, try and schedule time with you, get into some classes?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on womenwhocarry.org or Instagram. It's Women Who Carry HQ, as in headquarters, but just the HQ on Instagram.
Okay. Go ahead and make sure that those links are in the bottom of this video, but thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate the information. And ladies, it's not just for men. Get out there, get on the range, have fun. You guys have a good one.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.